Hello, BookTube. Yesterday I made a video about March of the Mammoths, one of the two signature BookTube events coming our way in March. It was created by Jason at Old Blues Chapter and Verse, and his co-hosts are Lukas at A Cruel Reader's Thesis and Alex at Big Al Books. And it's a celebration, an encouragement for you to read Mammoths, books that are 800 pages or more, that maybe have been sitting on your shelves the whole time because you keep thinking, I need an all-expense-paid cruise or a trip to the beach that never manages to materialize before I can read that thing. When actually Mammoths don't take any different a resolution to read than normal-sized books do. You just have to resolve to read them, that's all. And I made a video yesterday about a few mammoths that I am going to conquer in March. Now, for me, it's not as big a deal as for most of the rest of you because I don't have any other calls on my time, and I read really fast. And those two things help to make Mammoths less intimidating for me. But reading Mammoths in March of the Mammoths is one thing. I can also reread Mammoths. And the two things came to my mind since that video. I just wanted to make a quick March of the Mammoths update here. The first is a reread from a long time ago. This is William Manchester's 1,300-page book, The Glory and the Dream, which is a history of the United States for covering about 40 years, 1930s to the 1970s. And I read this a long time ago. I got this volume from the Brattle, I think, not all that long ago. I'm pretty sure I hauled it when I had this channel. But I read this thing decades ago, from front to back. I read it decades ago. And I remember when I first read it, thinking that despite its enormous length, its subtext, the sort of voice whispering in your ear as a reader the whole time you're reading this thing, can be boiled down to one fairly short sentence. And that sentence would be, kids these days. I got the strong sense throughout this thing that William Manchester was writing a book that he's calling The Glory and the Dream, but what he really means is how the neighborhood went to hell. The decline and fall of everybody but me. Now, that was probably wrong. I have a checkered history with this author, so that was probably ungenerous. And there's a lot of great stuff in here that I noticed even that first time. So this is another Mammoth that I'm going to knock off for March of the Mammoth. That's a reread. But I also want to show you something new, something that's out now or coming out soon that I have not read. Of course, it's a new release. I'll show it to you on the phone, since that worked well in our Library of the Lost. This is by Oli Benedictau, and it is The Black Death, The Complete History. And this also is 1,300 pages long, if I'm not mistaken. It's a gigantic history of the bubonic plague, its origins, the wide-scale devastation that it wreaked all over the world, especially in Europe. Maybe, I imagine a book this long would spend a lot of time on its after effects, how it changed the whole nature of European society. I have read a great many books on the Black Death. I've never read a book on the Black Death that even approached the size of this thing. The notes and bibliography section of this will probably be longer or as long as the next longest book that I've ever read on this subject. So for somebody to write about it at this length, I assume that the author is going to sweep across many countries, many demographics, all that sort of stuff. Fantastic. I'll definitely do it. And I should have a copy of this before March, by hook or by crook. I think it's for the book market, it's probably very expensive, but if you have a good library, if you have a library with fairly deep pockets, you should definitely get on them to get this thing. It's probably the definitive word on the subject. So those are two March of the Mammoth updates that I wanted to give you. And I will give you more updates as they come to bear, because I love this event. I love huge books. And I also like the gist of March of the Mammoths, which is not just to celebrate huge books, but to encourage you to read them. They really are a different kind of reading experience. So I've been hearing, since I made that video yesterday, I've been hearing lots and lots of suggestions, ideas, and even questions from all of you. I leave my email on every video. If you want, maybe there's a subject matter and you want to see if there's a book that size that's any good. I've read a lot of Mammoths, probably more than anybody on BookTube. I'd be happy to make recommendations, but I've been getting lots of suggestions as well that have been lots and lots of fun. And I want to show you these. So The Glory and the Dream and The Complete History of the Black Death. For March of the Mammoths, and we'll no doubt load up more Mammoths as the days go on. But in the meantime, I'm going to sign off for now, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.